What's up? I'm AJ and welcome back to Gen Z Garage. In today's episode, we're going to be rebuilding the distributor. Here on the table, I have a cap and rotor, a pickup coil, an O-ring, and spark plugs. So let's get started.
In my previous video, you saw me start to put all of the components back on the motor. With the effort I'm putting into this rebuild, the last thing I want to do is install a worn out and dirty distributor. A newly rebuilt distributor from Rock Auto costs about the same as buying the new parts to rebuild the one I have, so I might as well get the experience and actually get to pick the parts I want going into it. I'm also going to upgrade my distributor with a heat sink, which you'll see later in the video. We start by disassembling the distributor, first removing the distributor cap, and then the distributor rotor. Next, we remove the ignition control module, which is typically held on by two Phillips head screws. It's important to understand the difference in quality. Most brand new aftermarket ICMs are inferior to the OEM General Motors ones. The poor quality and reliability can lead to poor vehicle performance and premature failure. If at all possible, always use an OEM GM ignition control module. With the ICM removed and disconnected from the pickup coil, we can continue disassembly by removing the stator ring and magnet. This is held in place by three Phillips head screws. Unfortunately, this area of a distributor is prone to significant corrosion, which occurs as a result of the strong electrical discharge. Be careful when removing the magnet as it can easily break, which can result in poor performance. A new stator and magnet can be ordered, but they are difficult to find. With these removed, we must now remove the distributor shaft before we can do any further disassembly. To do this, you must punch out the retaining pin located at the bottom of the distributor in the cam gear. This is the hardest part of the rebuild process, with reinstalling it after the fact being the hardest. The easiest way to do this is to place the distributor in a vise and use a small nail or old drill bit with a hammer to punch it out. Once the retaining pin is sticking out, you can carefully pull it out with a pair of pliers. Make sure you do not lose this pin. With the pin removed, the shaft can easily be pulled to the top, freeing the cam gear, spring, and lower clip. The last component remaining is the ignition pickup coil. Before we can remove this, there is a small clip on the outer shaft tube which needs to be carefully pried off. Your brand new pickup coil should come with a replacement, so you do not need to worry about bending this. Once the clip is off, the pickup coil can be carefully pried out. The distributor has now been completely disassembled and all the parts should be degreased and cleaned in an ultrasonic cleaner if possible. I lay out all of the cleaned and new parts on the table and begin installing the parts in reverse order from how they were originally removed. Starting with the ignition pickup coil. With the coil properly seated, I then reinstall the washer and then install the shaft clip. I push it on hand tight first, then use a spark plug socket to hammer it down over the outer shaft. The next thing to go on is the distributor shaft, which must be lubricated before it's installed. This distributor, along with several other engine designs, often does not have any direct oil feed. The swirl port on the shaft is meant to create a pumping action which will effectively suck oil spray up the inside of the shaft and back out the vents in the distributor's internal shaft base. This is how the distributor stays lubricated, so make sure this area was cleaned properly before you reassemble. With the shaft back in place, we install the lower components starting with the spring bracket and cam gear. With the components in place, I compress the cam gear with my hand to line it up with the hole in the distributor shaft. When I've got it just right, I hand push the end of the dowel into the shaft. The pin will need to be hammered in, but I don't want to risk damaging the cam gear, so I use one of my dad's Dutch wooden shoes and begin hammering the pin into place, while keeping a drill bit in the rest of the hole to keep it from rotating. With this done, the hardest part of the distributor rebuild is complete. I now install the cleaned up stator ring and new stator magnet along with new screws that came with the kit. Next, I add a dab of oil in the distributor O-ring channel and slowly roll on the new Victor Reinz Vuitton distributor seal. At this point, the distributor rebuild would be mostly done. You'd simply reinstall your ICM and a new cap and rotor. However, I'm going to be installing a heatsink kit on my distributor. This kit is available on eBay from username rbron0410. The kit is designed for the 2.8 V6 distributor. However, it fits perfectly on the Iron Duke distributor, as you will see. The kit comes with a heatsink, thermal paste for the ICM and the heatsink, longer screws, and a grounding cable. The kit recommends installing the grounding cable to improve conductivity, which requires you to drill an additional hole in the base. It comes with a bolt and nut, but I chose to simply tap the hole and use a bolt without the nut. I start by squeezing the thermal paste onto both the flat side of the heatsink and the flat side of my ignition control module. Next, I place both in the correct location on the distributor and begin hand screwing one of the first screws. And then tighten it down with a screwdriver. The second screw, opposite for where the pickup coil connector goes, I thread the I-hook from the grounding strap into the screw and begin tightening it down and attach it to the inside distributor base. Next, I reconnect the pickup coil to the ignition control module and then reinstall my new cap and rotor. Along with my rebuilt distributor, I chose to order a set of 4 Champion double platinum spark plugs that are appropriate for the heat range of my motor, along with a set of high quality 7mm NGK spark plug wires from Rock Auto. I hope you found this video helpful. In my next video, I'll be installing the distributor back onto the engine along with all of the engine accessories. Thank you for watching.
Our land, people know our brand. You can trust AC. Thanks, AC. Spark plugs by AC. So when you want to go, we're the name to know. You can trust AC. Thanks, AC. Spark plugs by AC. Firing. Thanks, AC.